What's up, family? Man, I want to have a heart-to-heart conversation with you guys today. Man, we got to grow up. You know what I mean? We have to grow up. I'm old enough to remember the 70s and 80s where we had LPs, vinyl, you know what I mean? Music on vinyls. And one of the things that I love about vinyls, man, is that the sound, you know what I mean? Stay with me, I'm going somewhere, I promise you that. And before I left California, I had a nice collection, probably about 250, 300 different albums, right? And one of the things that I experienced was that, man, you put a record on and you put the little needle on it and play it, right? But if there was a scratch on the vinyl, or if there was a piece of lint or something of that nature, the vinyl would skip and it would just keep hitting that on repeat. You know what I mean? It would just keep going over and over and over the same spot. Why? Because there was a monkey wrench thrown in on it. You know what I mean? There was something that wasn't supposed to be on the vinyl that was causing it to skip. There was something that happened to the vinyl that was causing it to play on that loop. Catch this. It wouldn't play the rest of the album. It would just keep going over that same part over and over and over again. And one day I was sitting there and I was just going back down memory lane, just thinking about all the things I've gone through. And God had to remind me of Elijah, why are you stuck in this loop? Elijah, why are you stuck in this loop? And I'm like, what are you talking about? What loop are you talking about? Because I didn't think I was in a loop. And God had to remind me, Elijah, look at your life. You keep having the same patterns over and over and over. Different people, but the same patterns. Different people, different circumstances. But pretty much the same thing happens. Why? This is a loop, Elijah. It's like that record player that's playing that album, that vinyl on a loop. Something's damaged, something's wrong, something's out of place. And that's why it keeps playing this record on this loop. It keeps going over and over and over and over and over on this same spot. Why? Because something is out of place. When God brought that to my attention and brought that to my understanding of Elijah, your life is out of alignment. Elijah, something's out of sorts with your life. Something's wrong. And until you sit down and understand this, until you analyze this and stop whining and crying about the hell you've gone through, and understand the hell that you've gone through, learn the motherfucking lessons and grow from it, you're going to continue to stay on this motherfucking loop. You're never going to accomplish all that you came to accomplish. You're never going to experience all that you came to experience. Why? Because you're stuck on a fucking loop, Elijah. You can't get outside of this loop because your perspective is damaged. Your perspective of life is twisted. I'm going somewhere, I promise you. So I'm sitting there and the tears begin to run down my eyes as I'm trying to understand what God was talking about. And so I'm going back all the way to my childhood and just coming forward of all the things I've experienced and all the things that broke my heart and fucked me up emotionally. I'm just replaying all these things, and it's like I'm starting to see the picture. I'm starting to connect the dots. It's all starting to make sense now. I understand I'm on a fucking loop. I'm on a fucking roller coaster. I'm going round and round and round and round and round, going upside down, backwards, and everything else, but I'm on a fucking loop. And no matter how much I try to change, if I don't grow the fuck up, no matter what I do, you could change your name, you can move to another state, you can move to another country. You could get a new boyfriend, a new girlfriend, a new queen, or whatever the fuck you want, a new job. If you don't fix the shit that's fucked up, you're on a damaged cycle. You're in a damaged loop, and you're going to keep replaying the same pattern over and over and over again. Until you sit there and accept responsibility for the fact that you keep making choices to play this fucked up album over and over and over again. You keep playing the same vinyl. You keep playing the same loop. What do I mean? You keep playing the same loop. See, it's so easy for us to blame our mama, to blame our daddy, to blame our siblings and our upbringing for how we were. It's easy for us to blame everybody else. It's easy to blame our baby mama, our baby daddies, our husband, our wives. It's easy for us to blame our bosses, them raggedy ass co-workers we have at work. It's easy for us to blame the politicians and the government and the religious folks. It's easy for us to blame everybody for our fucked up life. When are we gonna sit there and accept the fact that, damn, I kept making choices to replay that loop? I didn't have to choose that. I chose this life. I chose these fucking loops. I chose to keep going over and over and over and over the same fucking thing. I kept getting out of relationships and jumping in other relationships, thinking that it was better and whoop and it's gonna be better and da. And it was the same fucked up, twisted, psychotic shit. Because I was on a loop. You could go from job to job to job to job to job and never be happy, never be satisfied, never be content, never be fulfilled. Why? Because you're on a fucking loop. I know people that spend 15, 20 years in college and still don't do shit. Still ain't accomplished shit. Because they're on a fucking loop. They don't know what they want to fucking do. They're changing majors like people change draws. Because they're in a loop. We have to grow up. We have to grow up. We have to accept responsibility for our own fucking actions. Replied to somebody on one of the comments on one of the videos earlier today, and I had to remind them that life don't make us bitter. We don't get bitter because of life. We choose to get bitter. Life doesn't make you bitter. All the hell that you've gone through does not make you bitter. What makes you bitter is the fact that you choose to become bitter because you choose not to grow the fuck up. You choose not to deal with your fucking trauma and your issues. And so you choose to stay on that fucking loop and become bitter. That's not life making you bitter. That's your fucked up perspective about life. That's your fucked up choices you're making over and over and over and over again. They say insanity is doing the same thing but expecting different results. And that's what we do. We choose different girls, different dudes, different jobs, different cities. But we're doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. Expecting it to be different. Expecting it to be better. Without understanding why the shit didn't work in the first place. Without even understanding what was I supposed to learn from this shit. And because we never learned the fucking lesson, we can never outgrow this fucking loop. We can never move beyond this class. And if the truth be told, a lot of us are 30, 40, 50 years old, and we're still in fucking elementary when it comes to the grand scheme of life. We still have an elementary level grade understanding when it comes to life. Because we've never outgrown that. We've never moved beyond that. Just like people, man, they get out of prison and they find themselves going right back. Get out, go back. Get out, go back. They're on this cycle. Get off of drugs, go back on drugs. Get off of dope, go back on dope. Get off, and they go through this cycle. Why? Because they never understood the fucking lesson. They never grew from it. What cycle are you on? What loop are you replaying over and over and over and over? See, you can't have peace and joy and happiness when you're on the loop of, negativity. When you're in that loop of that low vibrating frequency of being a victim, of jealousy, of animosity, of bitterness, of hatred, of unforgiveness, and on and on and on. As long as you have characteristics of those low frequencies, because that's the vibration you choose to stay on, because you don't want to do the work and grow the fuck up, you're going to stay on that loop. And see, many people, they're on that loop of being broke. The rich get richer and the poor get poor. Why do the poor get poor? Because they're stuck on a fucking loop. What is that loop? Lack. They're on that lack mentality. And that lack mentality manifests different ways in our life. There's not enough money. There's not enough supplies. There's not enough good men. There's not enough good women. There's not enough jobs. There's not enough subscribers to go around, so we hate on each other and we try to tear each other down. It all stems from lack. Lack is not enough of. I don't have enough of. There's not enough love to go around. Man, we got to grow up. We got to grow up and understand where the fuck we're at in the grand scheme of life, where we're at in our education and training. Most of us have never gotten to high school. When I'm talking about high school, I'm not talking about the physical fucking school. I'm talking about the high school emotionally. We've never dealt with high school level shit. We've never graduated from fucking middle school. And most of us has never even gotten to middle school, if the truth be told. That's why we're so superficial. That's why we're so petty. And we mask it with being super hyper religious. We have to grow up. We have to stop playing these stupid games. When you play stupid games, you get stupid prizes. When you play stupid games, you get stupid rewards. We got to grow up. We got to understand why you're here. Everything that you've gone through is to teach you something. Every traumatic experience you've had is to teach you something about you. You can't heal, you can't let go, you can't cut cords, you can't do any of this stuff until you learn a fucking lesson. Everybody wanting to run around, I'm cutting spiritual cords, I'm cutting emotional cords, I'm cutting it, I'm cutting these people out of my life, I'm cutting it, and it's like, shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down and learn some shit. How the fuck you gonna cut these cords and you never even understood the lesson of the fucking attachment in the first place? You can't cut that cord. I don't give a fuck how much you try to manifest that cord being cut. I don't give a fuck how much you write shit down and burn it. You're not cutting that fucking cord until you grow the fuck up and learn from it. Until then, you're going to stay on that fucking loop. You're going to stay on that loop. You could try to sweep it up under the rug all you want to. You could try to ignore it and act like you moved beyond it all you want to. You can sit there and talk about, I'm manifesting my king, I'm manifesting my queen, I'm manifesting my wealth and my millions and billions and my health. You're not getting shit until you learn the fucking lessons. This is hard to hear, hard to accept. I get that. But the truth is the truth, whether you like it or not. Whether you want to accept it or not. You're broke because you have a fucking broke mentality. You're lonely because you got a lonely fucking mentality. And you ain't grown the fuck up and learned the fucking lessons yet. What the fuck are you supposed to learn while you're going through your financial, lack? What the fuck are you supposed to learn about you? What the fuck are you supposed to learn about you in your isolation period? Where your phone is dry as fuck. You're never coming out of that season until you grow the fuck up and learn and understand and get everything you're supposed to get from that season. You see, unfortunately for the great majority of us, we've turned what should have been just a season into a lifetime. That was just for a season. But you refuse to grow the fuck up. You refuse to do the work and understand the lesson. And therefore that season got extended and extended and extended again and again and again and again. And now you're stuck on a fucking repetitive loop. Because you won't grow the fuck up. Man. We got to break the cycle. Everybody talking about being generational curse breakers and we're breaking these cycles and we'll do. You're not breaking a motherfucking thing until you sit down and understand the fucking lesson. Until you sit down and understand and learn everything you're supposed to learn from that cycle. You can sit here and talk about, man, you're your ancestors' prayers and we'll do. You could talk all this great shit all you want to. You could talk all this super spiritual shit all you want to. You're a spiritual giant, you're da-da-da-da, and you're da-da-da. I don't give a fuck what you talking about. You're stuck on that fucking loop. And you're never going to get beyond that fucking loop until you grow the fuck up and keep shit real with you. Until you sit down and look at the man or the woman in the mirror and say, damn, I've been lying to myself this whole time. I deceived myself this whole time. I was kidding myself this whole time. I was running game on myself this whole time. I thought I was running game on life. I thought I was running game on these people. I thought I was running game on I thought I was getting over into all I did was get over on myself. All I did was fuck myself. All I did was, cause myself to get stuck on a fucking loop. And I thought I was going somewhere. I thought I was moving on up. I thought I was advancing. And all I was doing was going around and around and around and around in fucking circles and too fucking ignorant to understand that I'm lost and I'm going around and around in circles. Because I won't grow the fuck up emotionally. Because I won't grow the fuck up spiritually. Man. Growing up is not easy. That's why the great majority of us never do it. Growing up spiritually is hard. And that's why so many people run the church. Growing up emotionally is challenging. And that's why so many of us, we become so distracted with everything else. So that we don't have to focus, so we don't have to deal with our emotional traumas. and the things that have messed us up. Man, I hope and pray that I said something to encourage you, to challenge your way of thinking, to even inspire you. As a spiritual drill instructor, that's my job. It's to challenge your way of thinking. Happy healing. Peace.